Everyone argues kale versus spinach, but instead of guessing, we're going to run both through the system, measured, not assumed.
What about red meat?
What about fruit?
What about fat?
What about carbs?
Run it through the lab. Welcome to the Nutragrammatron lab, this versus that edition. Spinach versus kale. Let's start with spinach. Per 100 grams, spinach gives you 2.86 grams of protein, 3.63 grams of carbohydrates, 0.39 grams of fat, 2.2 grams of fiber, and 79 milligrams of sodium. The macrogram index comes in at 20 out of 20. Even though protein isn't extremely high by weight, spinach is very low in calories, which means the protein it does have becomes efficient relative to its energy. Low fat, low sugar, clean structure. This gives spinach a perfect macro score. The microgram index score comes in at 20 out of 20. And this is where spinach really stands out. Over 400% of your daily vitamin K, strong vitamin A, and vitamin C, nearly 50% of your folate, plus magnesium and iron. This is a dense, multi-layered micronutrient profile. The fibrogram index comes in at 12 out of 20. At 2.2 grams of fiber, spinach contributes meaningfully here, but it's not pushing into the upper range. The sodiogram index comes in at 18 out of 20. Sodium is still relatively low, but slightly higher than some other greens, so it doesn't hit a perfect score. The glycogram index comes in at 18 out of 20. Low sugar, low carbohydrate impact, high nutrient density. This is a very stable metabolic profile. That brings spinach to a total Nutragrammatron score of 88. This places this subject in the strong tier classification. Alright, now let's look at kale. Per 100 grams, kale's giving you 4.28 grams of protein, 8.75 grams of carbohydrates, 0.93 grams of fat, 3.6 grams of fiber, and 38 milligrams of sodium. The macrogram index comes in at 17 out of 20. Kale has more protein than spinach, but it also brings more carbohydrates and slightly more fat. That reduces overall efficiency slightly compared to spinach's tighter structure. The microgram index comes in at 20 out of 20. Kale is just as strong here. Over 300% vitamin K, more than 100% vitamin C, strong vitamin A plus calcium, magnesium, and folate. Again, very broad micronutrient coverage. The fibrogram index comes in at 16 out of 20. This is one of the biggest differences. At 3.6 grams of fiber, kale clearly outperforms spinach here, and that contributes directly to the overall score. The sodiogram index comes in at 20 out of 20. With lower sodium than spinach, kale earns a perfect score in this category. The glycogram index score comes in at 18 out of 20. Similar to spinach, this is a stable, low glycemic impact food. That brings kale to a total Nutragrammatron score of 91. This places this subject in the elite tier classification. So what actually happened here? Spinach was more efficient in the macro category, but kale made up the difference with higher fiber and lower sodium. Both are extremely strong, but kale edges it out in an overall balance. Final results, kale 91, spinach 88. Kale wins. This has been measured, not assumed. This has been the Nutragrammatron Lab. Structured evaluation, transparent criteria, consistent analysis. Classification complete.